YouTube, and we go live on Facebook, and then we're live. It's always amazing and going very fast while it's still like turning, and then I'm like waiting and looking like
Right.
crap on a Facebook Live. So, welcome everybody to this all mom interview, which is going to be amazing, I'm sure, because today we're going to meet Betsy Laughter. Did I pronounce that right?
Yes.
Awesome. And she is a life coach to new moms. So I know a lot of you will relate to what she has to share and and her story, like probably. So Betsy, welcome. Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much for wanting to be here. I'm very excited in meeting you. Can you please let us know who you are, what you do, and where you're from?
Okay. Okay. Great. Well, and thank you for having me. I'm
You're welcome.
very excited to be here. So we got my name down. My name is Betsy Laughter. I am a life coach for new moms. And some people are like, "But what is that?" And I truly believe that motherhood is. I think there are a lot of expectations of what we're supposed to be.
Absolutely.
Um, And I think, especially when however our babies come into our lives, whether it's through our own pregnancies or adoption or however, when we're preparing ourselves for that, we build up a lot of what it's supposed to be like and sort of the
Oh,
perfect
yes.
image of motherhood. And then reality happens.
Oh, yes.
And those babies arrive, and I know for me, um, it flipped my world upside down. Let me give you a little background about what got me to this point.
Yes, please.
So I have a master's degree in social work, which translates to the fact that I am very empathetic, at times nosy, and resourceful. You put all those things together, that's kind of how it wrapped up for me.
I love
I
that.
have worked in the hospital setting as a social worker for my entire career, which for a very long time, it's 21 years, but that's okay. That happened fast. um, so I had worked in what we call the adult world, with just like people who'd had general surgery and cardiac units and things like that. And about 15 years ago, I was given the opportunity to start working with the mother baby units in the hospital, the neonatal intensive care units, and even pediatrics. And at the time, I did not have children. And so I was like, can't be that hard. Fine, I'll do it. Very eye opening for me.
I'm
But
sure.
I quickly fell in love with the entire population. I loved the idea of helping new mothers, supporting families whose babies were in the NICU, just all of the different things. And so I developed a confidence in how prepared I was going to be as a mother because I had worked with new mothers. No. So our son will be 11 actually in December. So I had spent some time, working in these units, feeling very confident, very prepared. And then our son was born. And like I said earlier, my world flipped upside down. And I remember coming home. Well, honestly, I remember the moment they handed him to me. And that was my first indication that this is not what I thought it was going to be.
This
Because
is like holy shit.
yes, it was holy shit. Exactly. It was for me, and I actually felt a lot of shame initially for the way I felt because I had always been told that it was just instant love
Yeah.
and, sort of this idea of hearts and flowers and, angels singing and all of that. And all I remembered was, wow, like he's cute. My body hurts.
A
Like,
lot.
ow. Right. And I had to have a C-section. So I'm like, I knew I hurt, but also couldn't feel anything. It was just all very strange. And
Yeah.
so we got home, and he was super cute. And I did love him, but I didn't understand what was happening. And so, but I did not tell anyone that initial feeling because I was afraid if someone knew what I had actually thought, that they that why would I must be a terrible mother if I didn't have that instant love. And so I carried that with myself for a long time. Um, and then so it was an interesting journey in that first year. And at about 9 months, I realized I was experiencing some postpartum depression. I had great support for the most part. As far as like family, I didn't have a lot of friends. I hadn't created my own village for myself. Yeah, I
Yes.
feel like we all need our little team. And I
Yes,
didn't
for
know I could
sure.
do that. And so, we got through it. I went to see a therapist. I was good. Everything was fine. And then, very shortly after his first birthday, we realized we were having our second. And yes, I know how babies are made, but just it was kind of like, oh, we're doing this again.
Surprise!
Right. We refer to her as our blessing, but yes,
Yeah.
unexpected blessing. And this time around, I felt a little more prepared. However, she decided to show up at 33 weeks.
Oh, wow.
And so we spent a month in the NICU. Again, I really thought, even once I wrapped my mind around the fact, okay, she's going to be born prematurely, I was like, oh, I got this. I've worked in the NICU. Totally different when it's your baby.
Yes.
Completely different. Um, so and she's actually great. She's 9 years old. She's in charge of all of us. She's
I'm
fine.
glad to hear that.
Oh, she's so in charge of us.
Ah,
So, um, but through that experience and the adjustments and the doubts and the struggles and all of the things, I realized I was not the only person, only woman or parent for that matter, who didn't understand what was happening,
yeah,
who didn't have confidence in themselves. And there is a lot of outside noise, I think, when it comes to parenting.
absolutely.
You know, there's and let me just say this. I love grandparents. I think they're amazing.
We
I
love them
preface that
and
well, I hope.
appreciate
Yes, we
them.
do. And I wouldn't know what to do without my in-laws and my parents. However, there's a lot of noise coming from well-meaning advice,
Yeah,
which can be overwhelming. And then all of the experts out in the world of
there's
this
a
is how
lot
you
of
should do it.
opinions. Yeah,
Yes. And then just, I think there's some benefits to social media, but social media also obviously has its downsides. And I think with all of and not just social media, but like all of the content that we are absorbing about what we should be, I think can just be very overwhelming. And then just who we are as ourselves and our own life experiences can, create what our experience is going to be like. And so with all of that experience, about 6 years ago, I felt like I kept having this itch to I wanted to do something different than what was in the hospital. And I realized in a conversation with a friend that this life coaching thing might be a good option. And it was a way to reach mothers and to help them prepare for motherhood.
yeah,
Um, Again, I went in very confident, almost, I guess, arrogant that, oh, I've got this. I'm professional. I know what I'm doing. And no, I don't. Um, in
we're
my
like,
research, I don't think any of us really know what we're doing. We're doing our best is what we're
yeah,
doing, I think. And through some of my research and just I'm actually currently working on a course that will be available for expectant mothers to kind of help them prepare if they don't want to work with me one-on-one. And um, the word matrescence kept popping up. And I was like, what is this? Let me dig into a little bit deeper. And it's actually a term that was created by an archaeologist in I think it was 1983. And, in the 80s, nobody was really worried about mothers. I don't
No.
think you just did it. You just go I think, I joke with my parents. I'm like, basically we were raised feral. We just were wild and just made it through. But, and so anyway, this term was created, founded by this archaeologist, and they realized that matrescence is actually a stage of life. And it is this transition that women go through from the moment they realize they're going to be mothers through their experience into motherhood. And
Okay, this is the first time I hear about that, so that's
honestly, when I read about it, it's like it set me free. I was like, oh, it's a thing. It's a real thing, like what I experienced is real. And it's no accident that it sounds like adolescence. If you think about it, adolescence, I think we all kind of go, oh, that was interesting. That stage we go in life where we're in one stage and going into another at the same time. Our bodies are changing. We're not in control of what's happening with our bodies.
Yeah.
The hormones that create, like in your head, you think you're being polite when everybody else around you is like shaking because you just yelled at them and you're like, I don't know why everybody's upset, So when I was able to understand that, I was like, okay, this makes sense. Like it makes sense that all of this is confusing and all of our perspectives change. The things that were important before our babies were born, they change in them. I don't know about anybody else, but a lot of mothers I've worked with and for myself, priorities changed in a moment.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, the best example I can give is I love to drive, and I might like to drive fast.
I know that feeling.
I don't know. It's like a freedom thing for me. And the day our son, or the day we were going home after our son was born, normally, now my husband does not drive fast. It drives me crazy, but he's a safe guy, which is good. And he was driving us home. And normally I would be like, could you go faster? Bless us. I think he was only going about 45 miles an hour, which is, in the States, that's not very fast. And I was like, you're going too fast. We've got the baby. He was like, it's going to take us 6 hours to get home if I go this slow.
Yeah.
But that was just the first realization to me that things have changed. So anyway, with all of my discovery of all of that, my understanding of motherhood, I just decided I wanted to create a space for moms, to work with me, that they can start to work through some of the changes that they're going to experience. There are common changes. They're just in general, our identity changes. Some of the struggles we experience with, new babies, like losing our sleep.
Oh, yes.
However we choose to feed our babies, there are a lot of struggles sometimes wrapped around that. And then, our relationships change and shift, and it's a lot at once. And so what I try to do is to help moms develop an understanding. Now, there's one thing I cannot do, is I cannot totally prepare someone for the reality.
Yeah.
That's their own experience. But if I can plant the seeds and I can give people coping mechanisms and tools to move forward, and so when they're in it, they're not just like, I'm the worst mother ever. I help facilitate a postpartum support group, and one of our guidelines for our group is the number one rule is no one's allowed to call themselves a bad mom.
Oh, I like that.
Or any version of bad, any synonym, because they've tried.
Oh,
I'm like,
yes.
you still try to call that's still,
We're
but
moms,
yeah, so
we're resourceful, right?
Yeah, moms are very resourceful in any way they need to be. So anyway, I just think, because I think one of the best things we could ever do for the the new moms, the generation of mothers who are, experiencing this for the first time, is to help them develop confidence within themselves.
Yeah.
I truly believe that every mother is the perfect mother for their baby. No matter how their baby came into their life,
Yeah.
they are the perfect mother for their baby.
Yeah. I
So
totally
that
believe
was
that.
that was a lot, wasn't it? I can talk about this for 6 hours.
Me too.
Um, so yeah, I think this phase, this transition into motherhood is, it's unique for each of us, but it, again, having that shared, a lot of common experiences.
Yeah.
And it's funny because, people were like, well, what do you do with dads? I'm like, I don't know. I've never been one.
Yeah, I thought
Yeah.
about that too. I was like, how do we include the dads? Like our uh our work, it's similar, but we follow up on each other, right?
Yes.
So at one point I include the husbands
Yes.
because I know
Yeah.
how I had to do that myself. So, but for this, like the whole change, like to be honest, I never ever asked my husband that question. Like, how was that change for you? Because he's so practical. So,
Oh, I'm married to that same guy. I understand. I'll tell you what I've learned over the years, and I'm really big on observing behaviors.
yeah,
Again, it's that social worker in me. It's that I'm nosy naturally. Like I just want to see what's happening.
yeah,
And the thing I have seen working in the hospitals is that whether it's their husband or their partner, whoever it is, the moms come in and they have their support person with them, and everybody's fine and confident. And then it's about day 3 or 4, right before they go home, where if I walk in, it's the dads or the support person, there's this fear on their face. And it's like they're white knuckling the chair, like, what's just happened? And I used to think it was just from lack of sleep. It's not. It is. And I realized, and this is from conversations that I had with my husband, and then just talking to other men and partners, that I truly believe that while we're pregnant, or when whatever transition we're going through to prepare for motherhood in this matrescence, we're constantly reminded, especially in pregnancy, of what's coming.
yeah.
We don't know we're being reminded, but everything's changing. Our bodies are changing. We're being kicked in the kidneys.
Oh, yes.
We can't breathe at a certain point. You can't sleep normally. It's
Yeah.
if you sneeze, you've got to change your pants. It's that kind of stuff. And those are constant reminders. And whether some of it's irritating, but we're still mentally preparing for it.
Yeah.
So there's a slight, and I'm not saying it's much advantage, but there's a slight advantage that we have when the babies arrive
Yeah.
or when they're born. For our partners, they didn't have that preparation.
Oh,
It's with my husband, I remember he would he was the only person that was allowed to rub my belly when I was pregnant. I'm just not, that's not my thing. And he'd pat my tummy and then he'd go off to work. Well, when he got to work, he wasn't thinking about what was like. I was still there, like, oh, I can't
oh, we
breathe.
have such similar lives. It's insane.
Right. And so, no wonder when our son was born and I looked over at him, it was about day 3 or 4, and he just had this, and it was like he had gone within himself. I couldn't get him to talk,
Yeah.
which just only made me upset because I was like, you don't know what I've been through. And he's like, you don't realize what I'm going through.
Yeah.
So I do believe in giving our partners a lot of grace, a lot of space to kind of adjust and realize that they're experiencing this too, but in a different way.
Yeah.
So I think and that's one of the things I work with the moms with, is at least holding space for that. It
That's
doesn't
important. And that's a great
right.
advice. I love that.
Because if and not every mom has a support person, but if you do have that person in your life, you don't want to like be so hard on them that they're like,
Well,
well, what?
sometimes you wanna.
Well, yes. I mean, okay. Especially like if you're breastfeeding, so many moms are like, you know what it was like? I'm breastfeeding so much, and they're just sitting there with their useless nipples, and they can't do anything to help me. And I'm like, well, that's true. You know, they
But
can't.
he's doing his best.
Right. Like he's taking this in. Um, so yeah, it's definitely a thing, and that's actually another thing that I've learned, and I want to be careful, how I say this because I don't want anyone to feel attacked or like they're doing something wrong. But I think we have to be aware, again, as mothers, when we're learning how to take care of our babies. Because the reality is, I don't care how many diapers you've changed in your life from somebody's cousin or babysitting or whatever, until it's yours,
Yeah,
it's different,
it's nothing compares to your own.
No. And because then you're in the role that, when the grandparents come over, they're handing you the baby back. You're the one that has to deal with the vomit and the poop and so much poop. I just didn't like,
Yeah,
I'm really glad we're past that. Like
I'm
that's,
right in it right now.
oh, I'm sorry. It'll end. I promise. It does
Yes,
end.
I know. It's our youngest. He's just one and he's teething, so it's
Oh,
like explosion.
oh, oh, that's the worst. Oh, I'm sorry. I am
That's
sorry.
okay.
It will end, I
Yeah,
promise.
he's almost there. Just four more teeth to go.
Okay. You're counting the teeth. That's a very positive way of looking at it. We've
Exactly.
only got four more. We'll get there. But, one thing I have found is that as we're learning how to mother our children, and in the beginning, our mothering is very different than when they're older. But, when they're babies, it's more about their basic needs, changing diapers and feeding them and, making sure they're sleeping and in a
Yeah.
safe place and all of that. I promise you, and I think you have an older child too, right?
Yeah. I have a 1 year old, a 6 year old, and an 11-year old, which is
Oh
a
yes, so
bonus.
the
Yeah.
phases. Yeah, they just need things differently.
Yes.
But I think when in the beginning there's so much pressure and I think some of it's we put on ourselves um, to get it right.
Yeah.
To, and so once we start to feel like we're getting something right, if someone else is doing it and it's different than the way we might do it, if we verbalize you're doing it wrong, the person that's trying to help us may step away because they're afraid of
Yeah.
getting it wrong. And if that happens to be the father or the support person, I think that's how we end up with a situation of having a default parent who
Yeah.
is the go to. And then what happens is then you've got, when you create that default parent, then you have someone who's overwhelmed, but then someone who's on the other side who's not feeling like they're doing enough, but they're afraid to do it wrong. So
Yeah.
it's a weird one feeds the other.
Yeah.
But that's one of my goals too with moms is to kind of help them understand that everybody involved in this baby's life is adjusting and learning how to take care of this baby.
Oh, you do such beautiful work because that's like, especially for parents for the first time, like first time parents, like I have two of my own now, and even the second time, it's still challenging to not fall into those
Yeah.
things. But we know better now. We
Well, at
know
least we
what
know
we
we'll
should not
survive.
do. So that's so important to have guidance with that, and that's especially why I'm so happy that you're here. Like just being able to help just a few new moms getting to know you and what you do and what is out there to get help with. It's so important because I truly am with you that you cannot prepare a mother like
No.
100%. Like when it's a new time mom, it's like people like with me, with my girl, she was my first, and people were like warning me, and people were like, it's beautiful, and people would say like it's going to be hell, and I was like, and everything in between, and I was like, yeah, okay, I will just go and see what happens. And then it
Right.
happened, and then I was like, what the fuck? Like,
Yeah.
I'm sorry for my language. I don't
No,
use the F word
that's
often,
real.
but it's
It deserves
nothing.
it.
Yeah. It was just like, I wish I've known you 6 years ago.
Oh, thank you. You know what? The reason I do this is because I wish I had somebody like this too.
Yeah.
My mother and my sister are wonderful and supportive. They don't live super close by, and we moved to a town that I didn't know anybody,
Yeah.
and it was that's one thing I definitely learned is if women can create their own mom squad or village
Yeah.
or tribe or whatever they want to call it
It's
before
so
their babies are
important.
born.
Yeah.
And it changes after because once and you know this when you have kids suddenly you're looking for other people who made humans too because
Yeah.
they understand how tired you are and you need someone to empathize with that.
Yeah. Absolutely.
um yeah, I think it's and you said something a second ago about how you either get people who talk about how amazing and beautiful it's going to be, or you hear the, oh, just wait
Yeah.
comments, which I just think is very ominous. I'm like, you don't have to like literally scare them. I
But the
mean,
people who said that were only men.
right? Because they're still rattled. Like, what just happened?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was just crazy. But it for me it really felt like no one was really honest to me about how it was. And my mom was like totally shocked when I told her like you've never been honest about how motherhood is. And she was like, "Well, I told you it was not always fun." And it was like, "Not always fun is something different than complete hell sometimes." And she was
And
like,
I
"Oh
don't know if
yeah,
this
well."
laughter is like because I've gone nuts or because, I get it. Like, I'm with you. Yeah, it's fun. I actually find myself even at the stage, my kids are 9 and almost 11, I find myself apologizing to my mother a lot.
Me too. And
And she's
being
like, why are you
grateful,
apologizing?
like,
I will say this too, though. I will look at my dad when we're in the midst of some chaos with the kids, and especially when they were the diaper phase. And I would just look at him, and he would just have this very calm look of satisfaction on his face. And I was like, oh my gosh, you're enjoying this. So,
yeah,
but yeah, I think it's so important. So many people put a lot of effort into preparing for birth and breastfeeding, which are valid things to prepare for. I mean, they're both pretty significant events.
yeah,
But I think so often women forget to even try to start wrapping their minds around what their life is going to look like.
yeah,
So again, that's my goal is to help plant seeds and prepare moms because I truly believe that moms deserve to be confident.
absolutely. And
It's
happy.
yes, absolutely. And I think those go hand in hand in a lot of
Yeah,
ways is, and confidence does not mean perfect.
no,
Nor does happy for that matter.
no.
It's just I think a contentment with all right, well there's some poop, but we're going to be okay. You
Oh,
know?
it's like insane. Like, I even, like, the first time around, I was like, oh, I suck at this when I had to change your diapers and there was poop on my forehead and
Mhm.
things like that. I thought that was only for fun in movies. I didn't know that that was really something that could happen to me, like poop on my forehead. But I did. And then this time with my with my boy, the first when I realized that I got a boy, I was like, how do I have to deal with a boy?
Mm.
There's something in between his legs.
Uh-huh.
I have no clue what to do with.
But you learned real fast how to change that diaper in a different way.
He peed on me 13 times.
Took me once, and I was like, we're not doing that again. Nope.
Oh, I was just, but I was less, just make this a competition. And he peed
Right.
on himself one time and 13 times on mine.
Yeah, mine did that, and I was kind of like, I don't feel bad for you right now.
Yeah. So, yeah.
Um,
Oh,
but yeah, and it's. I just think there's so much good about being a mom. It is a lot of pressure. It's a huge responsibility. It's all of those things, but there can be a lot of joy in it,
yeah,
and it can be a lot of fun. You
absolutely.
know, and the begin. And I think everybody has their stage that is their favorite or their least favorite. For me, infancy was hard.
Yeah.
Like I, I just needed sleep, and that was not happening. But when we got like to toddler phase, although they were, I just had to get to the point where some of the behaviors, I just looked at them as like they were drunk, and I was like, it's funnier if I pretend you're a drunk adult, and this will help me get through the day. But
Yeah.
about 4 or 5, when they started like their creativity and their um, we are of my husband and I were both children of the late 70s or of the 70s, not late 70s. My husband's much older than I am, but Star Wars. Like we were super excited about Star Wars, and our son dove right in, and we were like, "Yes, Darth Vader!" We got to really enjoy all that. And our daughter in her princess dresses and her Minnie Mouse, and all of those things. It's a fun stage. To me, that was like payment for the tough stuff. Um,
That's so true.
and I'm sure there'll be more phases that I will not enjoy as much, but.
Oh, absolutely. Okay, so just to be clear, like for everyone else as well, you help pregnant moms?
Yes. Well, it's kind of across the board. I can work with any mother for that matter. My expertise comes in with women who are expecting. And it doesn't have to be their first because you and I both know every baby and every pregnancy is different.
Yeah.
But generally, first time moms during their pregnancy. But I'm also able to work with moms after their babies are born.
Yeah.
I feel like that first year, so much changes.
Yeah.
And there's so many, because, after the first year, the changes kind of slow down a little bit. Well, time flies, but it's still, there are
Oh, yeah.
changes. Yeah. Because I literally felt like yesterday we brought our son home and he walked out of the house today rolling his eyes with an 11-year-old attitude. So, how did that happen? But yeah, so I really knew moms. And even into the toddler stage, I'm willing to work with moms, but my passion is in that preparation time.
So,
Um,
yeah, the expecting mom and the postpartum stage. And
yes.
I truly believe, like, because people, well, I don't know. People made me think that the postpartum stage was just the same as all the other trimesters, 3 months, but that's not true. So,
Okay. Yes. I have a big issue with the term fourth trimester.
yeah, me too.
I hate it
Yeah,
because I think you're right. We've set moms up to think, oh, well, in 3 months,
all is
everything will
better.
be.
Yeah,
Well, I'm in
I
my
don't know about the
34th
States, but
trimester.
after 12 weeks, we have to go back to work again.
Yes, it's the same here.
Yeah,
And you're right. I think there's an expectation that we're supposed to have it all together
yeah,
by then.
yeah. That's not happening.
No. I'm in my 34th trimester, if we're counting trimesters. And I don't have it all together.
No,
I do the best I can with what I have every day. That's
that's all we can do.
all I think we can ever expect of ourselves.
Yeah.
So, yes, I agree with you 100%. That trimester thing is just incorrect.
Let's skip it from now on. Okay, so amazing. And when women are listening and they are thinking like, I need to know more about Betsy and what she's doing, where can they find you?
A couple of places. On my website, which is just betsylaughter.com. Pretty simple. And it's spelled just like it sounds, like something's funny. I'm on Instagram, and that is Laughter Makes Everything Better. I had to use my last name.
I love
Um,
it. I absolutely love
thank you.
those kind of things.
And then I'm also on Facebook, just Betsy Laughter Life Coach. So they can find me in any of those places. They can certainly message me. But I offer, one-on-one coaching for moms, and we basically work through kind of what their plan is going to be once the baby's born, making sure I'm a big advocate in mental health care, like taking care of our mental health. And so I personally believe everybody should have a therapist. Now that's everybody's personal decision, but
Yeah.
especially this past year and a half. So, I'll help moms sort of navigate what are their resources there, kind of figuring out their own voice,
Yeah.
and knowing too that might change, and knowing that that's okay too.
Yeah. I
So,
absolutely love that.
yeah, it's, I really think this is how we can change a whole generation of mothers.
For sure.
So that's my goal.
Well, I'm with you there. So I'm going to put everything, all the links, everything. I will put it in the description above this
Okay.
interview. And for now, like we're already on 36 minutes, and it's only the tip of the iceberg.
Yes. Yes. It really, yeah.
But like you said, I could talk like this for 6 hours and still not be bored for anything. So it's like,
Me
but
too.
for now, we're going to wrap this up. I hope we can meet again.
I would love
And
that.
me too. And so if you have any questions or anything, just put them in the comments or send me or Betsy a message. And Betsy, thank you so much for being here.
Thank
I
you.
absolutely enjoyed it. It was
Thank
amazing.
you.
You're a beautiful person and a
Thank
beautiful
you.
mom. And thank you for making this world a better place.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for what you're doing as well.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye. So if you like this interview, then hit the like button. If you're watching via YouTube, then subscribe to my channel because there's more amazing women like Betsy. So if you want to know more about anything you can find as a mother to help you with your mental health or your physical health or just with motherhood, and check my page and check this website. Thank you so much, and I see you all next Friday. Thank you, Betsy.
Thank you. Take care.
You too. Bye bye.
Bye bye.